Kelechi Egwim is the executive director at Appeal Inc and an activist. He joins me live from Washington, D.C. Now, Kelechi, thanks so much for joining us on the programme. The footage there is harrowing, and so to the assumption that because Ahmaud Arbery was black and running, he must have been doing something wrong. I mean, how much is this another example of the racism that black people face in America each day?
Well, absolutely. I mean, they felt as if because he was black, he must have been a criminal. I mean, that's a supposition that people in America generally have. So, see a black man running, just jogging like other people in the neighborhood do, but him being black and being a predominantly white neighborhood, all of a sudden he was suspect. I mean, this is not something unusual. This is something that happens to black people every single day. When you're walking your dog, you're ordering food, you're taking your children to school. This is just what happens, unfortunately.
I mean, are those your life experiences? Is that what you have grown up dealing with?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I certainly know where not to go in the sense that some places are worse than others in terms of the population there, the reputation there, and of course demographics change, and that affects things. But you actually have to be mindful of that because you can't just think that you're just an American and you can just go anywhere because the reality is that you can't. There are still places, and there are many, many places where if a black man is found, and especially if the sun is down, he needs to watch his back.
Do you think white supremacy is on the rise in the US? Do you think it ever went away?
I mean, I was going to say on the rise from where? I mean, this country was founded on white supremacy. I mean, literally, a black person in the Constitution is 3/5 of a human being. So it's foundational. So go anywhere? No, it hasn't gone anywhere, and it really hasn't been acknowledged by the powers that be. The leaders of the country, have failed to even acknowledge, even though Joe Biden has acknowledged that white supremacy exists, but past just acknowledging it, there's been no institutional change, and that's the thing. It's an institutional problem. This is not about discrimination. It's not about who likes who or what. It's about structural, foundational institutions that are part of the fabric of the nation. Every aspect, not just justice system, the educational system, the health system, and every single aspect of life is controlled and still very much affected by the system of white supremacy. I mean, it is almost like white supremacy is the national religion, regardless of whether you end up in a synagogue or a mosque or a church. Everybody understands whiteness.
Yeah, Will Smith has made the comment that if this hadn't been caught on mobile phone, there wouldn't have been a prosecution. And how many killings of black Americans do go uncharged, unprosecuted, unpunished?
Absolutely. And people like to convolute the issue by pointing out the fact that there's a lot of violence in the black community, but there's a lot of violence in the white community as well. Most black people are killed by black people, and most white people are killed by white people. And the more poverty you have, regardless of the population, you're going to have more crime and more violence. People like to confuse the issue and make it seem like, well, black people are killing black people too. But this is not about individuals. This is about systemic uh, institutions, which include the police, most of the time, that are targeting people of color and killing them, with impunity. So it needs to be something that's dealt with on a national level, on a local level, and we're still not having that conversation. We're still having people like Mitch McConnell even deny that he currently is benefiting from the system of white supremacy, because that's what it is. As long as you have a population that's benefiting from the disadvantage of others, they're not going to want to get rid of that system. They're going to deny it, even as they continue to benefit from the privilege they get from that system.
I mean, there's been so much public reaction to this case, and we're just seeing some of it on our screens now. But as you mentioned, the list of black men and women that are killed at the hands of white people is long. Do you think each time we witness a case like this, this might be the catalyst for change, or do you think nothing will change?
Well, things change. I mean, even in Georgia, things have changed. Little change. I mean, I think that we need to appreciate the little changes, but let's not get confused. I mean, the fact that they've now abolished the law that these three men felt justified their murder of this young man is a positive change. The fact that they now have a hate law in the book in Georgia, the fact that they didn't have one before is astonishing. But these are little changes. We're a long way from where we have to get to, and it'll take generations to really get to where we need to get to. But it's not to say that there aren't little progresses. There are little progresses oftentimes locally, but you still have a nation that's largely still very much predicating on white supremacy and victimizing not just black people, but brown people, Native Americans, Muslims, anybody who is not a white Anglo-Saxon is pretty much, targeted by the national system of white supremacy.
Kelechi Egwim, the Executive Director at Appeal Inc. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us at TRT World.